first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Dahna Fox, and just curiosity, how many folks have heard me speak before? Well, I know that there's some, okay? You're just being shy. Okay. Okay. Okay, so for that's no problem. Okay, so let me just kind of give you an overview. Again, my name is Dahna Fox, and I've been working in the Akashic Records for, it's 96 and 2011, whatever that is, 15 years? Does that sound right, or more? Okay. I consider this my life's work. I was called the Akashic Records. Very interestingly, I had never heard of the Akashic Records before, and I was studying with a healer in Sedona, Arizona, when a woman, I was having some difficulties in my life, as we all have difficulties in our lives, and this one gal that was there told me I should call this woman named Elena Lieberman for a consultation on the Akashic Records, and I didn't know what that was. And, which is interesting because I heard about Edgar Casey after I started working with the Akashic Records. And so I did. It took me a while to get a hold of her, not just because of my procrastination, not that anybody would know about procrastination here. But anyway, there's got to be a few of you that understand procrastination. So anyway, I finally contacted her, and I had my first consultation with her over the phone. She lived in Chicago. And when I had that consultation, it was like a ray of light just came from my heart. It was like I was home again. The information was solid. It was grounded. It wasn't foo-foo. Nothing wrong with foo-foo, of course, but that was not my style at the time. It still isn't. But it was real information. It was information I could use in my life, and it really helped me with a lot of issues that I was having with my family, my dad. Just understanding about stuff. And I got the distinct impression that I had to learn how to do this. So I said to her at the end of the consultation, I have to learn how to do this. How can I learn how to do this? And she said, well, I give weekend classes, and I come to different parts of the country, but I typically do them in Chicago. I said, okay. So she sent me information for 2 years. 2 years it took me. And what's interesting about that figure is because typically people will come to the Akashic Record lectures, and something will happen, and it will take them 2 years before they get to a class. I don't know what that's about. Not that I wanted to start that pattern, but I'm just saying is it just happened. But 2 years, or it seems that once you come to a lecture or have a consultation, your energy begins to shift. Quite frankly, if you have a consultation, your energy will be shifting even before you get to the consultation, once you've made that choice. Especially if you are thinking about going to a workshop, your energy will start shifting even before that workshop. It's just kind of the way that works. So something was happening, and I was very much called. But for whatever reason, it took me 2 years because I need to shut this door. Excuse me. Or can you shut the door? I just need that to shush up. It's too loud. Please. Thank you.
Just need a count.
I know. Anyway, so what I was about to say is that once I got involved and I made my choice to go to the workshop, things kind of fell into place. It just so happens my son decided to move to Chicago. And a couple months later, I got a flyer in the mail that she was having a class, and it just kind of all fell together. The reason I say this is because there's not a lot of Akashic Record teachers. See, that's the designation. There's not a lot of Akashic Record teachers in the world. It's not just in the United States. It's not in the world. Now, I'm certified to teach the Akashic Records workshops through an organization called Akashic Record Consultants International, of which I'm a founding member. And we access the Akashic Records differently. In other words, like, we access, as you're going to see, I access the Akashic Records through a specific sacred prayer. This prayer itself is a vibrational key. And that vibrational key shifts the energy to make the information accessible. Which means that when I'm doing a consultation for you, I'm conscious. This is not like Edgar Casey, God bless him, he was wonderful, but I'm saying this is different in the fact that you learn in a workshop, for example, how to access your Akashic Records consciously, eyes open, so you can journal. Tough to journal with your eyes closed. I've noticed that. So the idea here is that we want to work with the here and now. We want to understand, why do we make these choices? Why are we here? What kind of plan can we have for the future? Not because we're reading the future, but because we as humans who are also spiritual, or maybe I should say who are spirit, who are also human, however you want to say it, we are now coming to a very important place. We have been for the last 5 to 10 years. But it's absolutely crucial in this year, and as we move forward, as our dimensions shift. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, they will be shifting. And you know what, though? I got to tell you, that there's some people that are not going to even be aware of it. It's going to be like status quo and everything. I don't know what these people were talking about 2012. I don't know. You know what? That's okay, because whatever's happening with them is happening with them. All you have to worry about is you. Okay? So, but definitely dimensions and energies and consciousness is shifting. So we have an absolute incumbent responsibility to move into our hearts in a very deep way and make a commitment to who we are, to who we came to be, to why we're here, to understanding what choices we have to make. We create our future. We are spiritual beings that have come into this lifetime not to be told what to do in the future, but for us to create our future now. And that's so important. You know, it's delightful to have people tell you what they think are going to happen in the future, and some of it's true and some of it isn't, because you want to know something? There are so many choices in the Akashic Record energy for you to choose. That what's true today may not be true tomorrow. And it's based on your free will choice. So what you choose today creates your tomorrow. And it's so important that you really get clear with your inner being, your higher self, of why did you come to this planet. Now, it doesn't have to be profound. I mean, it's not like you have to, find world peace for everybody. Nice, but you don't have to do that. The simplest way to find world peace is to find it within yourself. And sometimes finding that peace within ourselves can be a challenge. So, we have the Akashic Records that help us understand what our next steps can be, that give us choices around, give me insight into the action steps I can take to find more peace in my heart, to find more joy in my life, to heal the relationship with fill in the blank. These are the kind of questions that come forward either in a consultation or at a workshop when you learn how to access your own Akashic Records. And what you're going to see today is I'm going to demonstrate how I open the Akashic Records. And then there's a difference between demonstrating and teaching. Demonstrating is you watch me do it. Teaching is when you come to a class and I teach you how to do it. It's the old bread, what is that thing? I'm going to teach you how to make bread, right? Yeah. Okay, so the whole idea here is that's what happens at a workshop. It's a 2-day workshop. What's interesting, though, is so get back to my story, is I was called to work with the Akashic Records, and then about a year and a half later, I got through my work in the Akashic Records and my work with my teacher, and then there was the lady who's the founder of Akashic Record Consultants International is Mary Parker. Now, Akashic Record Consultants International is on the web. It's ARCI, it's Akashic Record Consultants International.org is their website. You will also, I have a website too. That's not exactly up to date, but I do have it. Okay. And it's www.akashicwisdom.com. Pay no attention to that, but my contact information, well, the email's actually wrong. But if you want to contact me, my email is info@akashicwisdom.com. info@akashicwisdom.com. It's quite frankly on every piece of paper you have in your hand. It's got my name and phone number and email address on it. So I'm real accessible. I just recently moved from Cleveland to Akron. So this is a whole new chapter in my life. And so I'm going to be doing a workshop in Akron to anchor the energy in Akron. So that should be a lot of fun. And so I would encourage you all to consider that. I just want to explain some of this paperwork, and then we're going to go on to the messaging, okay? All right, so here on your piece of paper, you have the benefits of why should you have a consultation and why should I take a class. If you choose to have, that's the green piece of paper. Here is the purple piece of paper is your consultation preparation form. The prices are different here at the expo because we have different things going on, and I do have a prepaid special for you. You can come to my booth and find out about that. But this kind of gives you the format of the questions. Now later on in this lecture, I'm going to open the records of the group. I'm going to call on the light. I'm going to open up the records in the group. And then I'm going to bring forth an actual message that's specifically for all of you as a collective. And then I'm going to take individual questions. And your individual questions can be global, they can be personal, but remember you're being recorded, so watch how personal that is. Nothing you want the world to know, don't ask it. You know how that goes, right? So something general, you don't have to ask general, I'm actually teasing with you, but it is being recorded, so you should know that. But this is just a suggested phraseology. Then here's information on the workshop. Then we have, and then I do life coaching and business coaching through the Akashic Records. So if anybody's starting a business, has a business, wants to start a business, this, if you want it to be a spiritual business, I mean, I'm not talking about holistic practitioners, yes, but I'm saying is if you want your business to also incorporate spirit as you move forward, then please talk to me about that because it's important. It's important information that comes forward. And some of you have, and some of you may not have. I also have a CD that you're going to, that I have at my booth that came forward from the records. It's called Remembering Your Magnificence. And I don't know if you have that flyer on there or not. But if you don't, that's one of the things we're giving away free. So if you filled out your little white piece of paper, there's two beautiful ladies in the back that will take them from you and will drop. But this is about remembering home. And it came forward from the records. It's Remembering Your Magnificence, Confirmations of Divine Love for All Ages. It's everything you always wanted to hear when you were a kid and didn't. Me? Yay. Yes. All the good stuff. All the good stuff.
Bless you.
Yes. So it's an important piece. My children have been kind enough to play it when their babies were being born. And it's great for older people to go to sleep with, so it's really all ages. Okay, so let's move forward. And I would just ask, does anyone have a Kleenex?
Yeah, I have a lot.
Otherwise, I'm going to be doing this. Thank you. Is it warm in here or is it me?
It's
warm.
warm.
Can we open a window or two? You gave me a lot of Kleenexes. Do you want some of that? Oh, yes, take this. You thank you.
I brought them for a reason.
Well, I'm not using them all, so I'm just going to put them here. So I just put it. Okay. All right, so let's move into, in preparation for today, it came forward that the group that I was going to be speaking for needs to be able to really focus in, as we were talking about responsibility, but it's really not a heavy load that you're carrying. It's a beautiful, light, and yet deep and profound information that you hold for yourself that needs to come forward. And so, prior to us moving into the records, I've been asked to have you move into your own center. And so I'd like you just to take everything off your lap. And by the way, you'll be able to buy a recording of this if you'd like. So they're videotaping as we speak. Okay. All right. So I'd just like you to uncross your legs just for, it's a very brief moment. But I want to make sure that everybody is with us, because this is collective consciousness that really expands your heart. It's a very simple little piece. So if everyone would just take a deep breath and just imagine yourself being aligned with light. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, great. If you don't want to close your eyes, it's okay. And just allow the light to enfold you. Allow the light to flow through you. And allow the center of your focus to be in your heart. The masters, teachers, and loved ones have come forward with this for you today. Listen to your heart. Listen to your soul. What does your small, still small voice within you say? What is your wisdom for today? Listen to your heart. Listen to your soul. What does your higher self want you to know? Allowing yourself to stop for a moment, to catch your breath, to dedicate 30 seconds a day to your inner knowing. Just taking a deep breath, centering in and listening. And asking yourself the question, what am I willing to invest in to create a better life for myself? What am I willing to invest to create a better life for myself? And allow your inner being right now just to answer that question as we take a moment to reflect. And when you feel complete, you can open your eyes, take a nice deep breath, and wiggle your toes. You're ready to pack. And so what's important now is for you to take whatever information came to you and make a choice of how you want to see that. And if nothing came, be okay with that too. Be okay with it, with that your mind was chattering to the point that you couldn't hear your heart. That is not a criticism. What that is a notice. Even if you were silent and you couldn't, and nothing came through, it's important for you to notice how your body was feeling at the time. Was there anxiousness? Were you feeling pressured? Was there something going on that you know you need to know but were afraid to hear? And so it's that kind of information that is valuable. So it doesn't always come in the form of words. It doesn't always come in the form of language or pictures. So notice your feelings. And what's so important for you also to know is that your feelings are much faster than your mind. Your feelings are much faster than your mind. Notice if you're ever afraid, you feel afraid first before you think about it. You don't say, I think I'm going to be afraid. You feel afraid and then you realize, oh damn, I'm afraid. Or worried or whatever. Your feelings are vibrational. And what's also important is everything on this planet has vibration and frequency. And if you've heard me speak before, you've heard me say that. What's important to understand is that every thought, every word, every deed, and every emotion emits a vibration and frequency. And so when you are trying to create something, when you are trying to manifest, if you're thinking positive thoughts but feeling doom, guess what? They conflict. If your thoughts are not aligned with your feelings, then you can't, it's very hard to manipulate or use the law of attraction. Everything has to be in sync. So there's many people that walk around saying, this law of attraction stuff just doesn't work for me. It's because they're thinking, but they're saying, I want a new car. Boy, I can see that new car. I can see myself in that new car. I can see myself driving that car. This new car is great, but they haven't felt it. And that's a very surface explanation. But do you get what I'm talking about? It has to align. And so one of the things that we can work with the Akashic Records is how do you align your feelings and your thoughts together? One of the things you learn in the level 1 class is to ask the question, show me what it would feel like if I were to. It's a great way to make a decision, you see. Because what happens is that when you have your records open and you ask the masters, teachers, and loved ones, like, show me what it would feel like if I were to move to Colorado. Show me what it would feel like if I were to work at, fill in the blank for your office or whatever. Show me what it would feel like if I were to marry and then fill in your partner's name. Guarantee if you would have done that before, things wouldn't be the way they are. So, now, why didn't I have that question before, you said, right? But now you have it, so you don't have to make that same mistake again, right? But the idea is that we don't trust our feelings enough. And so working with the Akashic Records can expand that information. Working with the Akashic Records can also help you with your creativity. Because anybody here a writer? Oh, there's a lot of people who aren't admitting it, though. Mm-hmm. I see. Okay. Now, okay, how many people are wannabes? Wannabe writers? There you go. Now that comes out. Or artists, or musicians. There you go. Or people that like to paint or sculpt. I mean, you know, there's so many different things that are considered creative in art. That one of the wonderful things that, in fact, my son. Both my sons know how to work with the Akashic Records, especially one from Chicago because I took him with me. But you could, if you're an actor even, you can open up the Akashic Records and ask what the author of the playwright or the screenwriter, or even if you want to read a short story, you can ask what the author intended with this work of art. You can go to the art museum. Oh my goodness, is that fun? You go to the art museum, you open up the records, and that stuff is blowing, just blowing. You go to a concert, 4th of July, boom, 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 oh boy. I mean, not only is it beautiful on its own, But when you have your records open, even if you're at home, just listening to records, or to, records, I'm showing my age, they're brown. So what if they're silver instead of black? Who cares? But the idea is that you can listen to beautiful music with your records open and hear it like you've never heard it before. So working with the Akashic Records expands your creativity. It helps you understand how to parent better. So for people who are grandparents, aunts, uncles, grandparents that want to understand how to really get back into really playing with those little ones around you, you can open your Akashic Records and come at them in a whole different way. It's just amazing. So the Akashic Records work that I teach can be used in every area of your life. It is not just relegated to future or past life, because those are just segments. It's like if you went into a library and they only gave you 2 rooms, how boring would that be? Even if the rooms were big and wonderful, okay? Where when you are conscious, when you work with the Akashic Records, you have a veritable gourmet's delight of wonderful things that you can look at, okay? And that's what's important about this. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to open up the records. We're going to bring forth. What I'm saying. I'm not channeling. It's important I make this distinction to you. When I open the records, I am not channeling. Nothing is entering me. That's a very important distinction. I am in 100% total control. If my phone rings, I can answer it, still be in my records, and I'm fine. Okay? In fact, I know a lot of people who go to work, open their records, and have a very good day when they could not have. So you can be conscious and work with the records in a very conscious way. So the idea here is that you want to be able, again, remember it's about taking responsibility. So I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I know. Thank you. Nothing enters me. I consider myself a translator. My mind said interpreter, and the masters, teachers, and loved ones corrected me and said, no, because you're not interpreting anything. That's a very, very important distinction. If I'm doing a consultation with you, it's because you're asking a question. As I mentioned, did I say that? Consultation, your questions are 100%, consultations are based 100% on your questions. So you ask the questions, I wait for the information to come forward. I tell you exactly what I see, hear, or sometimes feel, depending on what's going on. I'm not telling you what I think it is. So for example, if I saw a beautiful white horse running across, this is kind of my favorite example. If I saw a white horse running very swiftly across the prairie, I wouldn't say, oh, your life is moving so fast and you have to slow down, and this is, because that would be interpreting. What I tell you is, I see a beautiful white horse running very swiftly across the prairie. Does that make sense to you? And it could be the horse that you rode as a child. It could be a vision of freedom for you. It could be so many things that it would be inappropriate for me to put my spin on it. That's not Akashic Records work. Akashic Records work is telling you as it comes forward, and you know what? I don't have to know what I'm talking about. And I can't tell you how many times that's true. I really have no idea what I'm talking about. But I check in to say, does that make sense to you? Do you understand what that means? I don't know, but the person knows exactly what's going on. And so that's the distinction, is you want to make sure that, by the way, whoever you decide to have a consultation or a reading with today, make sure whatever they say to you rings true to you in your heart. Very important. If it doesn't ring true to you, then ask enough questions until it does. Yes? Great. Questions. I love questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm new to this.
Sure.
So if you could get right down to the very basic, what exactly the Akashic Records are.
I forgot about that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks. Excuse me. Yes, you probably are. You know what? You just asked a question that everybody wants to know. That's great. Okay. All right. First of all, See, I kind of move into this, and I only have my records open right now, so I don't have the group's records open, but we're going to take questions in a minute. Thank you so much. So the Akashic Records are the energetic recording of your soul's journey over every lifetime. So every thought, word, and deed are registered in the Akashic Record energy, including your soul's intention for this lifetime. Now that's a big statement.
Okay, so you're talking like sort of a spiritual vibrational journal.
Yes, that's a very good way. I like to call it God's Google.
Okay.
Okay.
But
It's a
very-
search engine.
Okay,
The
and
Akashic Records are basically a search engine for the collective consciousness of which we are.
Okay.
Not of who we are, of which we are. There's also a distinction there. So that the Akashic Records are a vibratory record of not only this planet, but of galactically and beyond.
But it's also individual.
And it is definitely individual. But also, trees have Akashic Records. Animals have Akashic Records. Plants, fish.
But so when you say you're going to open the records or your record,
Got it.
then you are communicating with ascended
Yes, there are,
masters?
we call them masters, teachers, and loved ones. They are high vibrational beings that literally step down, if you will. If you would consider that they are high vibrational beings that have expanded consciousness to the extent that they encompass the information for which you require. And you require, and you require. So the question, you understand, so in a consultation, or if you're working by yourself, your question is vibrational. You say your question out loud. When your records are open, then the vibrational match of that question moves to that master, teacher, or loved one for them to vibrationally match back with your information. That's why this is not imagination. That's why you don't get to the Akashic Records with your imagination. This is not imagination. This is about moving over, understanding that there is information coming forward, and allowing your heart to open enough to receive it, because it's never going to be bad. It's never going to be critical. It's never going to be nasty. It's never going to be scary.
It's not judgmental.
It is never judgmental. If you, for some reason, get a judgment stuff, that's your stuff, not the record's work. They're entirely, completely, totally unconditional and loving. Even if they're telling you to step up your game. And, which they do, but in a loving way. It's like, you may want to consider such and such, notice your pattern is this. Have you considered shifting your pattern to this? You see what I mean? That's the way they talk to you.
Thank you.
Yes. Does that make it a lot clearer?
Yes,
Great.
thank you.
Very well. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Are they also into the future or just present and past?
Well, the future is not set yet, because in the future, you have a variety of different choices in the here and now that create those futures. So based on what you choose now, creates your future. So the best way to explain that to you is, depending on where you're at, you can either take 71 or 77 to Columbus. And a variety of other ways too. But does that make sense to you?
It makes sense, and it doesn't go then with the theory that time is a continuum and all time exists.
Time is not a continuum. In our linear minds, we have put ourselves in that box. And that's a whole nother lecture. But that's the way we've chosen to do it. When we can step out of that box and allow the time to be divine timing, we take a lot of pressure off ourselves. That make sense to you? Easier said than done, don't you think? Yeah, I think so. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
When you're having a reading and the consultant says to you, does that make sense to you?
Can I see your eyes? Can you just move over so I can see your eyes there?
And it doesn't make sense to you, you say, no, it doesn't really make sense to me.
great,
Then,
perfect.
then what happens in the?
Well, then, as far, like, I can only use myself, and the way I'm trained in the Akashic Record Consultants International. If we say, does that make sense, and you say, no, I don't understand where that comes from, that it doesn't place, that I can't place that. They say, okay, just a minute, let me see if we can go deeper with that. Because we want you to be interactive in the consultation. It's important for you to say, can you go deeper? I don't get that. Can you say that a different way? That's when you're gonna get your money's worth. If you sit there and just say, does that make sense to you? And you walk away and say, I have no idea what she's talking about. That's not gonna help you. And it's gonna badmouth me. And a record, and their masters, teachers, and loved ones, we don't want that. We want you to feel, the whole point and the whole intention of our time together, as far as I'm concerned, is that you feel complete with that information it's given. That's the key.
Well, if the records are there, why do you have to be trained? What is it about training that you need?
Well, what happens is that, again, I'm talking about a school and a technology that we're using that's different than other people. Everybody has their own way of doing it. Our methodology is that when you use the Akashic Record prayer that we use, it was translated from Spanish, it was actually translated from Mayan, that they got it from the Pleiadians that went to Spanish to English. That's another story too. Anyway, but the idea here is that the more you work with the Akashic Record energy as such, the more familiar you get with it. The more you understand the nuances, the more you understand how to move over, the more you understand what is you and what is the records. When a person first begins working with the Akashic Records, it's natural for them either not to get anything sometimes, or I'm talking about even a level 1. And so as a teacher, it's my job to move into the energy and hold the energy for you so that you're able to see what you need to see and allow you to do what you need to do. But that takes training on my part to be able to have worked with the records long enough to be able to take directions from the masters, teachers, and loved ones of how to serve you. I need to know how to serve you if you're my student. I need to know, based on what we have created in the class, how to help you get to where you need to go. And so and we have an actual training program. We're the only organization that has a 2-year training program for Akashic Records teachers. Now, there's only 35 in the world. Why? Because many are called and few answer. Because and this is nothing against people, it's just the way we are, we want something down and dirty. We want something fast. Show me how to do it, I can figure it out myself, thank you very much, bye. Give me the prayer, I can do this. Well, no. Yeah, you could, but it will not be anywhere near as powerful if you take the time to work with a teacher in the class and be trained and be able to answer questions, be able to share the information you need. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's the way we look at it. It's a very sacred work to us, and it's never to be taken for granted. And many times, many times people have misused the energy of the Akashic Records for greed, for a lot of different ways, or have thought of it as in a different light. But you know what? Everybody gets what they need when they need it. So if one modality works for one person and it doesn't work for another, that's great. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm saying why it's important for us to do it the way we do it. That make sense to you?
Thank you.
Well, yes, ma'am.
Can you access the Akashic Records for someone else, not necessarily a question about your own?
Yeah, in a level 2, you learn how to access the records of other people, the land, and animals. Now, with permission. We don't ever access the Akashic Records of anybody without permission, including animals and the land. You have to have permission. Yep. question? Questions. Anybody else have another question?
Could you
Yes.
access, we have like 10 minutes left.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry, thank you.
That's okay.
No, thank you.
You know,
Oh, yes.
I'm
Oh,
retired
no, thanks for
teacher.
telling me, I forgot to ask my timekeeper, because I'm just kind of going on here. Thank you so much. Okay, yes, let's do this. All right, so if everyone was, now here's what's gonna happen. I'm going, thank you very much. Okay, come quickly. Come quickly. Please take a seat, we're just about to open the records. Thank you. All right, so here's what's going to happen. First, I'm going to call on the light, then I'm going to say the prayer out loud, then I'm going to say something silently, and then I'll say, okay, the records of the group are open, what would you, and I need you to ask me, please bring forward a message for the group.
Please bring forward a message to the group.
For the group. When I say,
Okay.
yes, records are open, you're going to say them, right? Okay. I had a lady once that said, I don't know what to say. I said, you don't have to, just ask me the question. So just, so, and then once you say that, the message will come forth and we'll take some questions. Thanks for giving me the time. Okay. All right, so if everyone would settle in, I'm going to call on the light now, all right? Okay. Now centering in and connecting with that which is most sacred within you. And allowing the light of the divine to flow through you. Expanding your heart energy to fill your entire body. Healing all that needs to be healed. And illuminating all that needs to be illumined. As I call on the light for the highest good, divine white light surround us, flow through us, and be with us. Divine white light connect us, and divine white light maintain us. As we ask that the wisdom be shared today.
Please bring forward a message for the group.
Thank you. So what's important here, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to pick out a person because there's you. Yes. Could you just stand up for a minute? What I'm hearing is you represent the curiosity, the heart, and the mind of the group. I don't know what that means, but I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. And what I'm also here to tell you is that you, like many people here, are about to go on a huge shift in consciousness journey. We talked about that earlier, but this is different. It's like you and a collective you are really at a crossroads. It's very important that you, lady who asked the question about the time, get aware of what your next steps are, because you're healers in hiding. You need to move forward, you too. And it's like there's so many people here that are searching for their purpose. And their purpose is laden and feels like a burden. And it doesn't have to feel like a burden. You can sit if you want to. It doesn't have to feel like a burden, because it's really important. It's very important that you understand that your purpose is joy. How simple could that be? It's joy. That's all you need to know. Joy. And for those of you who have lost touch with joy, that's your purpose. It's about making a list of everything in your life that is not joyful. And asking yourself the earlier question, what am I willing to invest to create the life I want? And it's not about investing money. It's about investing time. It's about investing you. It's about investing the challenges that it takes to move out of your comfort zone. It's about cutting ties with those who no longer serve you. It's not about not having them in your life. It's about emotionally cutting the ties that bind you to guilt, that bind you to frustration, that bind you from being who you are. It's time to let those people go on their way with love as you move forward on your path. You are too important. You, all of you are too important to waste your time on someone, something, or a group that does not want to listen and has lent a deaf ear for eons. Because that's their path. It's nothing that's wrong with them. That's what they chose this lifetime. Let them go. Love them. Let them go. And take that part of you that identifies with wanting to rescue, wrap it in light and say, we don't need to do that anymore now. So all the rescuers here need to move into your being of light within you and consider rescuing yourself before anyone else. Namaste. So now we'll take questions for the group. Any questions? Oh, yes, ma'am.
What do I need to do to get well?
What's your first, I'm not gonna do your last name because you're.
Mary Lou.
Well, this sounds like a very trite answer, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. First, you have to believe you can. Because there's a part of you that thinks you deserved it, and you didn't. I don't know what that is. I don't know who you're trying to prove right. So you need to look at who am I trying to prove right by being sick. There's a few other people in the same boat here. Who am I trying to prove right? What does being sick, how does that help me? What do I get out of it? Well, no, you're getting charged. It's not. You have to look. How does it serve me? I mean, this is not a criticism, darling. It's really helping you become aware. How does this serve me? And what does it allow me to do? What does it prevent me from doing? Right. And when it prevents me from doing what I want to do, how does being a victim play into my life? That attitude needs to shift. And when you shift the attitude of victim, because the attitude of victim makes you out of control. Does that make sense to you? You feel out of control about this.
Well, yes, so if I just change my whole life, would that be what heals me?
I don't know.
That's
No, that's the gamble you're not willing to
the
take.
bottom line is my husband making me sick?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what it all seems to point to. If I would move on, and change my surroundings and the energy that's around me, would that be what makes the difference?
What does your gut say?
Yes.
Then what are you going to ask me for? No.
No, I know.
It's like you don't have to ask me or the record keepers for permission for something you know in your heart. That's the piece of responsibility that we need to take. What are you willing to invest to get well?
Exactly, yeah.
What are you willing to invest to shift? And part of changing your life is knowing that you can.
Yeah.
Knowing that you can. Great question. Helped a lot of people here. Oh, and there's more, but yes, ma'am.
What steps do I need to take to get to that joy?
To get to the joy.
Yeah.
What is your first name?
Valerie.
Valerie, you need to play with more children. I'm sure, the picture I'm seeing here is you gotta go on the playground. And they're showing me like the things you sit on that, or that you ride that goes around and around. There is, you gotta put your hair, let your hair down, literally let your hair down, and you'll have to allow the wind to flow in your hair. And the laugh and the joy need to come from here. And okay, so I want you to do something with me really quickly, okay? And everybody can join in. I want you to just stand up for a minute. We're gonna do the cosmic laugh. Yeah, the cosmic laugh is put everybody, okay, I'm gonna stand up here. Everybody put their hand on their belly, okay? All right, ready? Okay, you can keep your eyes open for this because it's kind of fun. Okay, so everybody's get hands on the belly. Got it? All right. Feel that belly. It's soft. It's hard. There. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Almost a blue. Okay. All right. All right. Here. All right. So now I want you to take a nice deep breath and go ha like this. Ha 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 ha. So the idea here is that we can bring joy into our life whenever we choose. Okay? Now, doesn't everybody feel better? I mean, gosh, didn't that just kind of waken you up? Just waking you all up? Okay, great. Now, you have to do that more often. And then you have to start looking at people and seeing how absurd, what's that word? Absurd they are. Yeah. You go? I mean, it's just like, really? And just start laughing at it, okay? You're so serious, my darling. You just got to start laughing more. Watch comedy, but it's the kids that are going to bring the joy. You know what? Go to the library and start reading some kids' books. Really good, okay? There's a book also called The Little Soul in the Sun. It's by, I think, Neil Donald Walsh. It really helps you understand why bad things happen to good people. Okay? Little Soul in the Sun. And there's also one called The Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. Great book. It's a meditation in itself. Okay? So, I know I'm actually out of time, so for anybody who wants to leave, you can leave, but I will stay for 5 more minutes if people have questions. But before you go, we have, anybody wrote those little thingies out for free drawing? Let me just pull that, and I'm not closing my records until you because if somebody wants to stay. Oh, 11:26. Oh, I got time, 11:26. Oh, 4 minutes, no problem. Yay. Okay, one question, sure.
How do I move past fear with my boundaries with people?
What's your first name?
Denise?
Okay, this is a good one for everybody here. The question is, how do I move past my fear with my boundaries with people? What's more important, you hurting their feelings or them hurting your feelings? Answer the question. First thing that comes to your mind.
Me hurting their feelings.
Why?
Because they're important.
And why aren't you? Why aren't you? Answer the question, please. Well, the first thing that comes to your mind, this is not, just quick. The reason
I
it's
can't.
important.
I can't.
Because what?
I can't.
Because you can't. You can't get anything, or you can't. Why are they more important than you?
I want to please others.
Because?
I want them to love me.
Because?
I want to feel part of a crowd, I don't want to be alone.
Bottom line. The bottom line fear that humans have is that they will be alone. And so they move into people-pleasing and alienate themselves. So the person that you want to feel the most connection with, you have actually distanced yourself from, and that's you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So the recommendation is for you to start speaking your truth. Not in a nasty way. Even if you have to start out speaking your truth to yourself, because you've buried it for so long, that you say yes when you want to say no. Does that make?
Yes.
And so what's going to be important is that you really need to look into your heart. And the next time somebody asks you to do something, you take the time to say, I have to get back to you on that. Do not answer immediately. And then you check your calendar. And then you ask yourself the question, do I really want to do this? And if the answer is no, you put your name in that calendar where that they wanted you to help them or whatever. This is just an example. You put your name in there. And you get back to them and you say, gee, I can't, I've got another appointment. But you need to keep the appointment with yourself. So, if you say to somebody, I can't, I've got another appointment, or another commitment, which is a better word, I have another commitment, your commitment to yourself is to do something wonderful for you. I don't care if it's a bubble bath, I don't care if it's a walk in the park, I don't care if it's taking a nap. It needs to be for you and only you. You need to keep your commitment for yourself. And the more you start keeping your commitment with yourself, the more you're going to become just as important as other people. And you'll feel strong enough to be able to move forward in that. Is that helpful?
Thank you.
But you got to do it. And you want to know something else? It's a secret. There's nobody else more important than you. You say that? There's nobody more important than me.
There's nobody more important than me.
How does that feel in your body?
I sense that.
Yes. So shake it off. And everybody say it together. Say, everybody's going to say this together. There's nobody more important than me. I am important. I am divine. There's nobody more important than me. Now, here's where that goes against some people's brain. Because they say, well, I can't be selfish. Mom told me not to be selfish. Well, unless you're selfish, you can't take care of you. And if you can't take care of you, you can't take care of your friends. You have to be strong enough for you to be able to model for them how to be healthy. That's important. Okay, is that?
Yes, thank you.
It's it, okay. All right. It's 11:30, so anybody who has to go needs to go. I'm going to close the records of people are going, records are closed. Amen, amen, amen. We're going to stay.